Hello boss moms, welcome back to my channel. Thank you again so much for clicking onto this video. If you don't know already, my name is Kelsey Ross. I'm a mother of 2 kids, Yara and Jess, and I just do mom vlogs, lifestyle vlogs. I want to get into more beauty vlogs, but we're taking it one day at a time. So I just wanted to give a little life update. Now, I don't have tons of followers, okay, people? But I just think like YouTube is more so of a digital journal, and I love YouTube. So this is something that I can look back on, my children can look back up on, and just really it's more so of like a montage, a visual moment of where I was in my life, and I just love it, and I thought I'll share it with you guys. So if you love content like this, please look at the other videos that I do have, but please subscribe to my channel. Here is my Instagram link. I'm not on TikTok yet. Please hold. So I wanted to give more so of a life update on what's been going on. I made a huge 180 in my career choice. I stopped working. I am homeschooling. I am working on relationships, not only with just my partner, but friends, family. It's just been a really nice, impactful and a powerful few months that has been going on in my life, and I really wanted to share and shine a light to all mothers and just parents in general on basically what it takes to kind of just evolve yourself as a person, as your gender, as a parent, and someone who wants to find place in the world, and what it took for me in order to get to not just this spot, but where I want to go in the future. So I'm just going to give them more of like a little rewind, a little playback on just some points that I want to highlight on. So who I was, my daughter's in the background, she's playing in her toy area, so you might hear her. It's fine, totally fine. But so like basically I was an artist, I was a fashion designer, okay? That's all I wanted to do. All I wanted to do was drink wine, smoke marijuana, and just hang out with friends, and I thought that was my entire life. And I was in a relationship. I have been in a relationship off and on for about 8 years, okay? And now I have 2 beautiful children. I had a very stressful and hard pregnancy. I had to get major surgery. I had 3 groups of friendships that have all ended. I have like on my own childhood personal trauma. So and I was very confused on who and what I wanted to be in this world, and exactly where I fit, and what would it take for me to, I guess, what would it take for me in order to get there? What would it take for me to get there? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How am I going to highlight my weaknesses and turn them into strengths? And just all of that, I had basically put all of those things inside of files. And I learned to compartmentalize all of my problems, all of my issues, all of my emotions, and I never really solved them. I kind of, I somewhat dealt with them and kind of just dispersed it because I had other issues that I needed to focus on. It wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't something that I really needed to unpack because it wasn't really affecting my life. But once I quit my job, you guys, there has been a huge, just a huge wave of emotion on who am I? Like, who am I? And for me to have that question at the forefront meant to me that everything or every experience, every person, every situation that has happened before that was all, there were lessons that I needed to actually unpack, to actually answer that question at that moment. And a recent friend of mine, she kept trying to push me to unpack it while I was still in that mode of not yet. I can't right now. I'm in a routine. If I start to unpack it while I'm in my routine, everything else is just going to start crumbling down. But she kept suggesting that I unpack and I let go and I talk it through, I heal myself and move on to the next. And it was really hard for me to get to that point. And it's crazy because I kept saying no. And from me saying no, the universe has been giving me signs to do that and sending me her and other people in my life telling me that you need to sit down and unpack. And it was crazy because the universe lined up everything. I got my car stolen, which I lost my job, okay? Got my car stolen, worked at a new job. I quit that job. And then I ended up no transportation, really no means or want to be in the world. I'm excluded. I'm in the darkness. Like I had to be in this darkness, and not darkness where it's evil and just full of negativity, but it means I'm facing my shadows. So it forced me to sit down and unpack my past. And for me, I've always thought that was the most scariest thing. And I attached fear to my past because I felt like I didn't succeed in any area in my life. So because I attached fear to it, that's why I didn't want to unpack it, because I thought it was going to put me in a depression that I no longer wanted to be in. Because when you experience postpartum depression, it's the worst thing. You don't want that on your enemy. It puts you in this negative space, in this shallow space where you have to, you don't even have energy to fill in gaps. You are just there. It's just the worst feeling. We could talk about that later. But I didn't want to unpack because I didn't want to get back in that space. I finally had a routine that I was comfortable with. And now someone and God and everyone around me is telling me to sit down and unpack. And I had to. And it was like the most that's how it felt. It just felt like a deep breath. And I love you too. Okay, go play. Go independent play, okay? But that's how it felt. So I literally opened up file by file by file. And when someone says you need to heal, the first thing that I thought of, I don't know if this is like other people, but the first thing I thought of was how? Like, what are the tools? What are the steps? Like, how do I get to that healing stage? Am I just supposed to think about it? Okay, I thought about it. It's more so on, I took the incidents in my life that placed me in that fear mode, that made me feel unsuccessful, unworthy, that basically helped that decision for me to continue to focus on the negative and to feel like I didn't succeed in that moment. What were those incidences in my life that created that feeling for me? So I started to unpack that first. So that meant just situations as far as my art shows, my fashion shows, my friendships, my relationships, What did I bring to the table that also caused that negative impact? Who was I trying to be in that moment? And I started to unpack that by bringing up that actual situation, playing it in my head, visually seeing it, smelling it. Like, what was I eating? Like, I literally had to put myself and visualize that around me. And then I started to remember the conversations, remember what I said, what they said. And I went outside of that and I started to pick out things. And not just what we said, but our body language, our facial expressions, our demeanor, the way we crossed our hands, the way, like, I had to pick apart every single thing that happened in that situation. And then I could have said, okay, what would have changed and altered that moment to turn it around into a positive? Now, not to say everything has to be positive. Negatives in your life are actually good. It's more so it helps you figure out what you learned about yourself and who you do not want to be, and how you can turn a negative into a positive. How can you take situations and learn your placement to figure out, how can I turn this around? And that's what I came up with. Okay, so in this moment, in that conversation, what could I have said to stop that person from feeling that way about me, about where they are in life? Or what could I have said to basically give them advice that would have made them feel like I was judging them? What could I have done to make sure that I am including who they are and how they receive information? What could they have done to me that would have made me feel safe? How could I have told them my boundaries? How could I have set up how I wanted to be treated, so therefore they will give me information on how I receive it? So I started to realize in those conversations that I had in my past, in those experiences that I had and those events, what could I have done differently? And it's all about, and my family and my friends have been telling me this, it's all about boundaries. Oh my God, about boundaries. Like, it's so simple to say, but it's so hard to give someone a boundary because you feel like you're giving them a wall. It's blocking that person on who they naturally are and how they want to treat you, because that's how they think. And it's giving them a wall and saying, hey, I need for you to stop there because you're crossing a boundary of mine. Boundaries always doesn't mean I'm putting up this wall because I don't want to deal with it. No, I'm putting this stop sign up because that's not something that I could receive in order for me to learn. Everyone has a different personality, a different emotional level, and we receive things differently, and we give people different types of energies because of the person that we are. So we have to learn how to individualize the person, so we learn how to give them information and how we receive information properly in order for us to evolve into the person we want to become. Because people help us evolve. Situations, experiences, they all help us evolve into the person that we want to become. Because if the person gives us if a person gives us information in the way that we respond to, we're able to see that information, and we can either say, this is something that I don't want into my life. It's not something that is me. So thank you for telling me that, and thank you for giving that information to me in the way I can receive, but it's not something I actually want to learn from. But if they give you something that you feel like is a part of you, when you hear it, it's just like, it makes sense. It connects. Then you say, you know what, that's something that I actually want a part of my life. Thank you. And you attach it to you, and you start to grow into that. So giving someone information, it all depends on, it's not just how you say it, but you have to kind of manipulate it into a way where that person receives it because of who they are. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense in my head. But setting boundaries was the hugest thing for me. And I'm still working on it. I'm still working on setting boundaries because I'm still working on what I want in my life and what I don't want in my life. So I'm trying to basically figure that part out. But I know boundaries is something that is very huge within this couple of months that I've been focusing on, and telling my truth. So I talked about how to receive and how to give information to a person. So I've learned that I can say exactly what I want to say by doing just that. So as far as my, working on my relationship with my partner, off and on for 8 years, because we are afraid of actually sitting down and having those rough conversations. So I'm actually able to say exactly what I mean because I know who he is and I know how he receives information. I'm no longer trying to give him information that is pressing a button. I'm now trying to give him information that is enlightening and that's going to help him think about it and understand how I'm feeling, rather than going back and forth as a debate or a defense mechanism. It's a healing conversation, And that goes along with friendships. Being a mother, talking to myself about the things that I'm doing wrong, not saying, oh, that's so stupid. You're so stupid. Why did you do that? No longer talking to myself that way. So setting up those boundaries and those honest conversations and being truthful to who I am and what I want to say to that person, but I have to deflect it in a way that a person will receive it. And being a mother, that to me, when I first had my daughter, who I wanted to be in the beginning didn't match up with being a mom. Being a person who just wanted to paint, sew, drink, and smoke all day was not the person who was trying to build a foundation to work on the negatives in her life, to grow, to be actually successful, what it took to be successful in your career and relationships. They didn't match. So in the beginning, that postpartum depression really hit me because I was not ready to tear this apart to raise this up. And I didn't know how to take this side of me and this side of me and work it as one. One of them had to go. And that is because of the mental space that I had in that time because of me trying to compartmentalize all of my issues. I didn't know how to balance. And that's the third thing, balancing. Balancing being a mother and who you are was very stressful to me in the beginning because it meant that I had to face those problems and I didn't want to. And that is a huge thing. I had to be honest and say, I don't want to do this, but you have to do this. Ever since I let go of Rage Ross, of Ross Paintings, of my career, and I just looked at my children and I wanted to visualize. I sat down and I had to visualize, what is the big picture? What is it that you want for your children? How do you want them to be raised? And it's funny because people will judge, well, wouldn't you think about that in the beginning? You think about that in the space that you were in. So that same conversations and those same actual values and methods and just lessons that you want your family to learn from and to become and to take with them in their life is very different from when you actually sit down and find yourself and really know who you are. It's very different conversations and it comes from a different energy, and it's just different, And so when I had reevaluated that at that time, at this time in my life, it's a different foundation. It's a different learning experience. It's actually seeing who they are, because we should, like, as children, we know exactly who we are, and it's up to our parents to take that and to build on it, because you can't change or alter the child of God and what God had made for you and your family and made that person and what they should be doing, what their destiny is. It's for you as a parent to take those characteristics and build on them, make them stronger. So I literally had to sit down and say, okay, who are my children right now? Who are they? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What do they love to do? What if they are an independent play mode? What are they talking about? What are they drawing? What does that mean when they're drawing? What are those sarcastic words that they are expressing to me or their family or their brother and their sister, their cousins? What are they talking about? Like, I'm really sitting back and I'm just watching my children to help me realize and to help me understand and to help me get the tools that I need. Help me pray about it on how can I build them. I started when I left my job. Well, before I left my job and quit, I started that process, and I started to notice the things that were going to hinder my daughter in the future. And that was her speech. And that was, she needed to be developed properly because of an inheritance that I gave her. I had dyslexia, and if you ask me, if I was fully diagnosed, if my parents actually fully took me to a specialist and a therapist, they would have probably diagnosed me for autism. And I'm not going to lie about that. You can ask all my friends in high school, my family members. I have the same symptoms from when I studied for my daughter for autism. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a specialist, but you just have that knowing, you know? So when I started to see like similar symptoms, and when I started to see those weaknesses in my daughter, I wanted to make sure that I was developing her properly and taking that time to do that, because as a child, to what I wanted my parent to do for me at this grown age, it could have helped me better and mold me into actually who I am or who I was growing into be, and to help me reach my destiny just a little bit faster from those detours or those self-sabotaging moments. So I took that time and I talked to Jarrell, the love of my life. I talked to him and I said, I want to leave my job and I want to develop my daughter. Without question, because of those hard conversations that we had, you guys, without question, he said, okay. Without question, he said that he was going to take care of his family. Without question, he was going to actually make the means and the finances to help support me and his family, without question. Now, it's not to say that we have, you know, so many different responsibilities as far as bills, but it's to say that he took that responsibility so I could heal and so I could build our family while he's doing the finance work. So that to me was like, okay, God is aligning something that's very bigger than me. So I took that time and I started tiptoeing and developing my daughter and try to understand homeschool, try to understand that, you know, I have a 1-year-old now. He's 1, oh my God. I have a 1-year-old now that I have to start developing as well. So I got into that routine, and then something started hitting me. I'm still unpacking. I'm still deciphering what I want in my life, what I don't want. But a wave came over me, and I'm starting to understand my Cancer emotions are a strength to me. Once I feel this uncomfortability and I feel this, not just sadness, but this pressure of emotion, I just sit there and I try to figure out, okay, what is going on? What is something that I need right now in my life for me to be, I guess, not back to normal, but to put me back into position, because I'm off track. What's my emotions telling me right now? to put me back into position. And from me leaving my job, focusing on my family, my relationship, I started to understand what I wanted to do with my life, who I wanted to be, because I started to understand those feelings and conversations in my past. So ever since I was a younger girl, I was always interested in being a doctor. And this is something that only people who know this about me, who have known this about me, is my mother, my sister, my twin brother. Those are the only 3 people that knew this about me, because I always thought it wasn't me because I love fashion and I love art, and though that doesn't mix with the medical world, and it does. like being a surgeon is an art, and I've always pictured myself, like literally visually pictured myself when I was in my younger stage, sewing, not just clothes, but is this gonna sound weird? It might sound weird. You guys, I'm not weird. I mean, I am, but whatever. But actually, like, healing by sewing human flesh to heal their wounds. Literally, like, cutting open in surgery to find a problem inside of a person and to make sure that I can heal that person and put them back into the world at their happiest, at their most grateful moments, and to say, thank you, God, for saving my life so I can move forward. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always thought about that, and I expressed that to my parents. But when you don't really know who you are, and you don't have that environment to help push you and mold you into that, you will let the outside environment influences pressure you on who you are. And I'm very grateful for that path, because I wouldn't have known or actually collaborated and to balance those two. So I am going back to school, as you guys can see. I am starting off fresh. That's crazy, from elementary to high school, I was in the arts. I've done dance, I've done fashion, I've done media, I've done acting, I've done hair, I've done nails, I've done makeup. I've done everything that I felt like that was needed in the fashion industry and in the art industry. I taught kids art for after school programs, joined artistry programs to help develop the community, and I painted and I did shows, I did fashion shows. Like, I look back and I was very successful. But there was a piece of me that wasn't fully fulfilled, which is why I thought I was unsuccessful. And it was because I needed to mold the other part that God was trying to show me. And that is my destiny, colliding and collaborating those two. And I'm going back to school for medical school. So none of my classes transferred at all. I mean, because my classes were more so like, fashion illustration, graphic design classes, advertising marketing classes, like things like that in the fashion industry. So the topics and the use for the classes really didn't correlate to what I am doing right now. So I am in community college. I'm a freshman. This is my first semester. And I'm waking up every single day tired, very tired, but I'm now allowing and learning to be stretched. So there's so many different ways that life is stretching me right now, being a mom, being a student, being a partner, being a family member. I'm being stretched, and I'm allowing myself to. And I am really trying. Oh, well, this is her cute little cook apron. She's about to cut. Oh no, this is your apron.
Apron.
Hold on. So, oh yeah.
I want you.
So I'm learning and allowing to be stretched because
Mama.
I am now.
Mama.
Yes, baby.
It's mittens.
Those are your mittens. Go ahead and get your food. Put all of your cinnamon rolls inside of the oven. So I now have the space, the mental capacity, and the unexhausted emotion to learn from these 4 experiences that I'm now about to go into. And it's not easy. Whoever said life is going to be easy is crazy, okay? They aren't really actually facing life. It's hard. But the challenge is something that is beneficial to me. And you start to find peace. You start to find excitement. You start to find love. And you just are in true gratefulness, but in enjoyment. And it puts you in a thankful place. And you pray differently. You cook differently. Honey, when I say I've been cooking, you act differently. You smile differently. You laugh differently. And the things that matter, they don't matter anymore. Because they didn't have any depth to it.
It's my mittens.
It's your mittens.
It's mittens.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't have any depth. So you start to evaluate how you want to be as a friend, who you want as a friend, how you want to be in your
pineapple.
Yeah, it's a pineapple, in your family's relationship, and how you want to be as a mother, and how you want to be as a partner, and you strive to be that. It's no longer I have to. I don't want to be a single mom, so I guess I'll just work one. I don't have any friends, so I guess I'll just make this friend my friend. I don't want to. It's more so like it has no meaning. It's fine. In a few years, that's not something that I will want in my life, and I have to be honest, and move on and actually select things that I want. And you learn that when you have those conversations. That's lettuce, not ice cream.
Thank you, a cabbage.
Thank you. Oh, cabbage. Okay, that's good. I'll take it.
I'll take it. I want to.
Can I have a taco, please?
A tiger.
A taco.
Thank
So obviously it's playtime again, and we're about to start cooking. But I just really wanted to set that on your heart, and I just want you to say where you are right now is not going to be where you are in the future. And if you don't like where you are right now, I really want you to take time to unpack and to have those hard conversations and to sit outside of yourself and outside of them and figure out how you can break that down into a positive, and what could you have done in that moment to change it around and to make a better outcome and to have a better picture. And to figure out your big picture for your future and to focus on that and to break down those steps on how you can get there. I want you to pray. I want you to love genuinely. I want you to be happy. And I want you to thank God every day for where you are, because in the future, you are going to be a better, more insightful you. And that's all the way until the day you die. You're never going to stop learning. You're never going to stop growing. So your future is always going to be a little bit different. So every time you succeed, life is going to take you through a different phase for you to succeed that, then the next, then the next, then the next. And that's just how it's going to go, right? So I just want you to know that you are an amazing parent. You're an amazing person. You're absolutely beautiful inside and out. Don't let anybody tell you that or judge you for where you are right now in your life, because you have to say, this is just where I am right now. It's not where I am in the future. And if you want to evolve, evolve. If you don't, then you have to be comfortable in your skin in that moment, and just to say, hey, I stop here. And that's your choice. That's your choice. So just don't place any judgment on any other mother, because we all have a lot of stuff to unpack and no one is perfect. Okay? So have a beautiful rest of your day. And I hope you love the content that I create. I have other videos I would love for you to watch. And I have content that I have been recording that I'm going to be publishing these videos once a week, okay? I'm still figuring this thing out and still working on my new routine. So
It's my mitten.
it's your mitten. Oh, they want to see your mittens. Oh,
Say mitten. Hi.
Say it's time to cook.
Cook, kids. I want you.
Have a beautiful day, you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Say bye.
Bye.